Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Yalik, and I'm going to talk about the key to this meta. And I'm going to show you, I'm kind of going to pick on myself a little bit for failing to take my own good advice. I'm going to show you the hits that I did on this fellow, Leo, I believe. And I might show the one on Eisenbar. What was this one? Oh yeah, that was just GBE. So yeah, failed this guy twice using other troop combinations, and then realized, oh yeah, didn't I say that, you know, with the shields out of the game but the HQ health buffed, Heavy Zooka was going to be the key to the meta? Well, guess what? Heavy Zooka is the key to this meta. As the shields go away, work on your Heavy Zooka skills. But before we do that, and I'm trying not to get too far aside today, I just gotta show this. Because, first of all, this was unboosted. Second of all, there were a bunch of mistakes. Third of all, I've definitely had this player before. You see those two characters? I've definitely had him before. And fourth of all, I still managed to win despite the mistakes. And I will be honest with you, there was a bit of bad luck here as well. Start this off. This is a probably under normal circumstances a double shield base. You can see he has at least 3 ice there, 2 boosting. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 offense statues. So yeah, 3-2 base, and guaranteed this guy under normal circumstances would have another shield generator down over here. But I'm pretty familiar with this kind of layout, and I saw an opportunity here. I was going to wait till this afternoon to boost, but because I've really been pushing on the GBE for some reason, or GBE on the VP, for some reason I'm just flying up in the VP, and I'm setting new highs every day by 2, 3, 4 points. I really didn't want to wait because I thought I could do this, and I thought I could do it more cleanly than this. And I will be honest with you, by the end of the attack I was almost hoping I would lose so that I could go back and do this again more cleanly. It would be great if I could spawn this guy again so I could get some more practice. But so started off very, very unlucky here, and I didn't notice how unlucky until later on in the hit. Cleared a couple mines over there at the shore and barraged the HQ. Look at how bad the barrage on the HQ was. I saw the mines at the corners, but I figured I would take my chances with them. What I didn't notice is that there was a boom mine left in there too, and boom mines are very bad for warriors. Kill you immediately, so they've got to go. If I had noticed that that barrage was so bad, I probably would have canned this attack and tried again, just ended it. But I didn't, so that was one thing. Now, again, unboosted, so there's not a lot of room for error. I do make one small mistake here, which leads to another mistake down the line. Should have checked the range on the flamethrower. Started smoking a little too early. Now, you're going to see a gap in the smoke. That's not the mistake, because that's intentional. I needed to get there in 3 smokes. So really, that's why this smoke down here was such a problem, because if I had smoked up a little higher, closer to the actual range of this flamethrower, I could have gotten here to this point on the shield generator very cleanly without having to gap the smoke. But wasn't really worried about the gap in the smoke. Again, that wasn't the problem. Here's the problem. Had already pressed taunt a little bit too early, and so now I'm going to have to taunt again, and so I just wasted GBE. So from 3 GBE, instead of just 3 GBE, we've now used 8 GBE there, and GBE is going to be tight on this hit. Now, everything else here is pretty decent considering. The smokes are alright, and I mean, I got wrecked up here because of that boom mine. Only had the GBE for 1 shock, but that's obviously going on the shock launcher opposite. And luckily, Bullet just happened to be standing. He's like halfway in and halfway out of the blind spot of that shock launcher, so that should probably be moved back a tile or 2. But yeah, right about here, I was actually hoping I would die so that I could go back and do this again, but do it right. But, well, darn it, I won. But that was fun. That I always enjoy those hits and getting the... I haven't been able to do a lot of stuff like that with warriors this week, so being able to pull something like that off on... Oh, hello. New spawn. So let's see, that puts it to 64, so 1160... Oh, cool base. Is that like a moth's head or something? Interesting. Well, he's not going to have ice, and we're definitely going to warrior him, but not right this second. Does he have... No, doesn't even care about having the boost on his HQ, but what an awesome base that is, right? I love it when people do that. It always... So, 1264, I beat him, I'll go up to 1266, and that'll be my new high. So, hopefully, over the course of the day, with the VP, I should be able to reach 1268, or maybe even 1270, by keeping my map clear. Would love to get to... I don't think I'm going to be able to get to 1300, but I can get pretty close, and then from there keep grinding. But I think once I get to 1300, I'll be pretty happy, and I'll probably call it a day. So, with all of that said, because that was just a fun little distraction or diversion, whatever you want to call that, going back to Leo. So, you can see using our ZCM with Bullet, and you're going to see two of these on the first. We'll go through the first two pretty quickly, just because, you know, well, for time purposes. But kind of a wide open layout, 3 Doom Cannons. That is actually, I don't hate that. That's a pretty good strategy. It's not going to work against the heavy zooka, which we ultimately used to beat him, but against warriors that would be formidable. Against tanks, that's formidable. Against RZCM, you're gonna see he's just gonna wreck me with those 3 Doom Cannons. There's just too much splash. I went with Bullet trying to soak up that damage, but between with the particular layout that he's got, you've got Doom Cannons shooting at you from this way, Doom Cannons shooting at you from that way, and you know, you don't end up unboosted. I didn't have the GBE to keep all of my angles covered. So I'm using the smoky approach here, and the idea with Bullet was to taunt and try to get all of this stuff taunted, and then keep one shot going over here on these 3 towers, rocket launcher, shock launcher, Doom Cannon, and pretty much just ignore that Doom Cannon for the time. Positioned myself a little too high, missed a mortar over here, and now here you're going to see that this Bullet's over here, and that's fine, but this Doom Cannon just destroys that other flank of my army, and you can see I don't have many troops left. And I mean, Bullet's got a lot of health, but I mean, when you've got 4 zookas left, there's not much you're getting accomplished there with that much work left to do on the base. Similar here, I tried, instead of just removing, the first time I just removed 1 rocket launcher. This time I tried removing a rocket launcher and a shock launcher over on this side of the base, because this shock launcher was giving me a lot of problems on that last attack. So I tried removing both, which brought the GBE down pretty low. Also tried placing my troops a little lower, so instead of like flaring to the back of this machine gun, flaring more towards the front of it. Also got some heavies out there, so I didn't have to clear these mines at the shore. And so now, hopefully, with that positioning, Bullet will actually taunt the mortar this time. I believe he does, and I believe he gets this flamethrower too, which, so that part was good. But really, really low on GBE here. Yeah, taunted everything, so that was great. And again, with the continued shock over there, just cycling. Have a couple of heavies going up towards that top Doom Cannon. So that's buying us some time, but then the heavies die, and we're just not getting to that Doom Cannon quickly enough. And Bullet's starting to wander away, and we're done. Wrecked. But, so I stepped back from this, and I looked at it, thought about trying the warriors. He does have ice, though. How much? I forget. We'll see here. So, stepped back from it, and remembered what I had said earlier. So 4-2, 4 ice, 2 boosting. It was a bit much for the warriors, although as far as his base goes, he actually only has 2 shocks. You need to shock well, not necessarily Doom Cannon, that'll probably be taunted, but you can shock Doom Cannon and rocket launcher, or shock launcher. Doom Cannon, shock launcher, and so it never fails. I did put my tablet in Do Not Disturb, though. And that's not important, and I'm not getting it. Because this is. So I was thinking critters for the Doom Cannon back here. Probably would have had a good amount of time for the warriors to work. But are we finished? God, it's so there's just too many things. Like if it's the dog, or a door opens, or somebody drives by and honks, or whatever it is, just you can never get away from it. Anyway, yeah, didn't like the warrior approach and went back to what I said early on. I mean, guy probably has a shield normally. Probably hides it off in the trees or something, but doesn't have one now. And if he doesn't have a shield, then why am I not using Heavy Zooka? Because it is, honestly, it's the best combination in the game. It's definitely the best combination at the mid game before your warriors get high enough that, you know, you can do things with them. Up to, I don't know, level 14 or so, I don't use warriors very much because they're just not all that powerful. They don't do enough damage, and plus when you're lower level you're limited to 7 boats, like my lowest account. Still only have 7 boats, so that's a consideration too. That's limiting the damage I can do. So back to the bread and butter, back to Heavy Zooka, because, you know, it works. It always works. They had to introduce shields into this game in the first place because Heavy Zooka was too powerful. So when the shields go away, that's kind of a signal. We should probably just be using Heavy Zooka. Straight to the back. That was some pretty good smoking there, I'm not going to lie. That was a nice walk. I think I had about 36 GBE or something like that at this point. A little bit of a regroup flare and then onto the HQ, and I have enough for 2 shocks at my flanks, so don't have to worry about these rocket launchers for a good bit. And Bullet is sitting there eating up damage from the Doom Cannon and absorbing fire, everything coming that direction. And even the heavies didn't take a whole lot of heat on that hit because Bullet does his job. As much as I complained about the Bullet nerf when it happened, Bullet is still a ridiculously powerful character. And one more of the same sort of situation. Ice Base probably has a shield under normal circumstances. This guy is looks like he's got 5 because there's 3 Guardians and then you can see the 2 Masterpieces boosting over there. So 5 and 2. And same kind of situation, like I said. Probably hides his shield generator off somewhere normally, but it's not normally now, is it? So with a 5-2 base, I'm definitely not using warriors. Plus, he actually does have his mines pretty well scattered around in that area. And this was, as I recall, not very clean. Like the one that I just did was fairly clean. This one was not. Didn't even get Bullet on this one. Started my landing slightly too far to the right. I should have been a little left of where I was. And I thought I was safe on this one. Really did. I was a bit surprised. In fact, I thought I was a little too far to the left, so that just goes to show you something. It should have been, like, instead of being here, probably needed to be about here. And you'll see why that matters in a minute. Not much to clear in the way of mines. That was nice going up the side of the base, and my spot is, I'm trying to get back to right here. That's my flare point, right next to that wood storage. I think that's a wood storage. Right next to that. And then a regroup flare and onto the HQ, and ideally with Bullet would then taunt all of the stuff back here in this vicinity, and we'd call it a day. Now as it works, we get to call it a day anyway, but uh-oh. Bullet is now over there, like I said. A little bit too far over to the right. So what ends up happening? And Bullet is, spoiler alert, my troops are going to have a nice quiet walk because everything else is going to be pretty well distracted. Killing Bullet, he's just not going to make it. But I figured what the heck, I would just, you know, roll with it. Proceed as normal. See if you can get stuff done. And that just goes to show you how good this combination is, really. I screwed up. And poor Bullet is dead down there. But, you know, again, had the GBE for my 2 shocks. Now, the heavies are going to take a bit more fire this time. You know that for a fact. So I think we end up with just a... Actually, did any heavies survive it there? Doesn't look like it, but that's a lot of zookas. And down is down, right? Let's go back and check that. It just, you can't, even against shields sometimes. Nope. All the heavies died. And Bullet. But a win's a win, and 57 zookas left remaining. That's a good amount of zookas there, so Heavily recommended if you haven't practiced it already. Like, honestly, in the level 30s and 40s, you should be, that's where you should start using your heavy zooka. But you know, if you haven't dusted it off in a while up here, I don't use it very much on this account. But this week, really, especially this week, the second week of the cycle, having the shield gens out of the weapon lab, the shields are starting to disappear. The first guy with the warrior hit, guaranteed he had a second shield under normal circumstances, and will again next week, but didn't right now. And same with the other two that I showed you. It works. It's heavily recommended. So if you're not doing it already, I hope you are, but yeah, give it a whirl. There are some tutorials out there. Probably better that you find someone else and not me, but you know, give it a shot. Anyway, that's what I've got for you today as you watch me convert stuff in my sculptor. That probably means it's time for us to go, so I'll catch you guys later. Take care.